Hello everyone, and welcome to the Banner Broadcast, a Banner Pipeline Project initiative where we provide professional development resources for civically engaged leaders in the higher education and nonprofit sectors. In the Inside Scoop of a Civically Engaged Higher Education Career Series, we will explore what it means to lead a career in this sector and learn from the experiences of 6 professionals currently working in the field. In today's episode, Advice, our guest speakers will share some tips they wish they knew before entering the field, and offer general advice to anyone pursuing higher education and civic engagement. First, we have Kelly Finn, the Student Development Program Manager of the Sweater Center at Brown University and Banner alum, mentioning the importance of building trust with the people we work with and finding our own leadership style.
This piece of advice now is just don't take yourself so seriously. I think I came in obviously wanting to do a really good job and to prove myself and prove they had picked the right person. And it was a really hard balance of being in a space with all these people that I went to college with. They were my friends. We were very, very close to each other, like Bonners are. And then I came into this capacity and I had to navigate when to be a friend, when to be a mentor, when to hold people accountable for what they said they were going to be doing. And I came off a little bit strong, and I know that. I'm sorry to the people who were a part of that, but with all good intentions, right? I had intentions of holding up this program that had a great history and to keep it moving forward. But I learned to relax after a year because I learned that relationships are so important, and to build trust with people lays the foundation for, I think, being a leader and making change. And if you come in with all these ideas and want to fix all these things and you don't have trust built with people, it's very hard to get them on board. And so in that first year, I learned that I don't perform my best when I'm coming in as that authoritative figure, because that's not really who I am. I was sort of putting on this front because I thought that's what was necessary, and I don't think it was. I think after that year, I learned to come into my own type of leadership. And for me, that's joking around and being goofy and relating with people, and also at the same time holding expectations. And you can do those things at the same time. And I came in with this all or nothing mentality. So then going into year 2, I was able to just readjust a little bit and sort of find a new way. But I think I just don't take myself that seriously anymore. And I think I still do good work, but I'm able to sort of laugh about it. And there's a lightness about my work that I have now, but I know that it's also important. But I think you can just hold space for all of that at the same time.
Next, we have Dr. Wilbur Whitney, Director of the Banner Office of Community Service at Morehouse College, highlighting the relevance of the many opportunities that the civic engagement field has.
I wish I had known that there are more opportunities than I thought. I thought it was a kind of a narrow field and that there weren't a lot of opportunities, but now I see that there are a lot of ways that you can work in this field and a lot of things you can do. I'm inspired by what young people are doing in terms of civic engagement and community involvement. And even the whole idea of being a social entrepreneur. These companies that are doing well as companies, but they're also doing good in helping the community. But I think if I'd have known the more breadth of the field earlier, that would have been very helpful.
In addition, Joshua Rodriguez, a Student Development Program Manager of the Sweater Center at Brown University, shares ways one can grow in this career that he wishes he had known previously.
I think one thing I wish I would have known is when you apply for a job and you get offered, you can always negotiate your pay rate. No, to be serious, one thing that I wish I would have known when I started out, and it's something that I'm pursuing now, is how do you then grow in this career? I went right into working when I got out of college. I wish I would have took some time or used my education award that you get from doing AmeriCorps to pursue a master's, so that way I can escalate my position. Because I think I have great ideas to create change in a community, especially a higher education setting, but it's hard to do within a certain position. You want to have a director title or senior level position because you have a lot more influence and a lot more sort of pull power when you come up with ideas or when you sort of want to introduce new theories or new practices. Masters will help you sort of say like, hey, I have the credentials to do that. It's hard coming from a community where pursuing even a bachelor's was difficult. Master's is even more challenging to think about it, but that's something I wish I would have known going in, because I do want to have much more influence in this role, in this community, in this field of work. And what's going to help someone do that is having some more credentials.
Ariel Del Rosario, project manager at Project Pericles and Bonner alum, points out how important it is to make connections and build a network.
Some things I wish I had known before getting into the civic engagement and higher education field would be that, one, it's a small network, and that you tend to run into many of the same people over and over again. And it's not bad. It's great because you get to see your colleagues at different conferences and different emails that go out, and you get to make connections yourself between many of the partners that you meet. I just didn't realize how many times I'd run into the same people. Because the field is so small, you make a lot of connections that you don't realize later that will pay off or you'll benefit from. At the same time, you also get to have your name out there.
Matthew Brian Cheney, Banner alum, Assistant Professor of English and Director of the Banner Center for Service Learning and Civic Engagement at Carson Newman University, wishes he knew how to better navigate his identities on campus, as a faculty member and as a Director of the Community Engagement Center.
Some of it is just little interpersonal things that you learn as you start a job. Unfortunately, my predecessor kind of moved on really quickly. And so he wasn't really able to give me a lot of knowledge when I started. And so I was kind of handed the building. I knew a lot about Bonner, but there was a lot of other stuff that we do in our center that is not Bonner. And so I had to learn that. And I knew Carson Newman, but I hadn't been here in 7 years. I think that I wish that I had known where some of the landmines were with community partners. Oh, this is something that they are very upset about. And, we just need to be really careful about that. There aren't many models for doing the job that I do, where I direct a center for community engagement, but also on faculty. I can think of maybe, 8 or 9, maybe 10 people who I've met who have a similar kind of situation. The thing I find that's really difficult is balancing those two identities on campus, where I'm a faculty member, where I'm on committees and I teach classes and I do all these different things that are faculty-based. But then also I am in charge of the center, and I'm responsible for our full-time staff that are here and all of our financial reporting and all of our grants and all of everything. I'm in charge of all that. So I wish I had kind of had a better, some good tips and tricks for like how to kind of navigate the balancing those two things. And I've learned over time, I've reached out to different people and gotten some good advice. And there's a lot of stuff you just kind of have to have the courage to move slowly and listen and learn, and you have ideas and there's things that you want to do really quickly. And you just kind of have to be like, no, I don't know enough about that yet. I really need to, the culture on campus isn't ready for that yet. That might be what you want, but it's not a good time yet.
After listening to our guest speakers share skills they wish they knew, now they will give us some tips to be better prepared when working in the field. First, we have Gretchen Mielke, Assistant Dean for Civic Engagement at Weiner University and Bonner alum, encouraging individuals pursuing this field to allow themselves to make mistakes and emphasizes the importance of self-care.
Do it. You guys are experts. I think that what's great about service learning and civic engagement is that there is this thought of, it doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're old, there's expertise there. And I think everybody doesn't know what you don't know. You always have things to learn. But I think trust in what you do know and go out and make mistakes. And it's going to be, you have good days and bad days. I think sometimes I wish my students would know that they don't have to be happy all the time. That's okay. And that's part of the work. And push through it, even if it feels a little bit longer than you'd like it to be. And that it's a purposeful, passionate life. And that comes with both really great successes and really a lot of joy, but it also comes with some pain and some sadness and failures as well. So I would say burnout and self-care is really important to balance and create longevity in this work. so that you can live to fight another day and to fight the issues you care about, fight the politics that you need to, and learn how to push through in tough times.
Second, Dr. Wilbur Whitney recommends finding a mentor and following one's passion.
One, hopefully you have someone you can talk to, someone that's mentoring you or has been in the field, always helpful. I do remember when I was graduating from college, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And aunt actually worked for a circuit judge. I remember distinctly going in his office. He told me, what are you good at? What do you like to do? What is your passion? That's what you need to follow, and that's what you need to spend time doing. Past president, he used to say, 2 days are important, the day you're born and the day you know what you're going to do. Soon you can find out what you really like to do, better off you'll be in terms of your career. And the other thing is, don't pursue something based on economics. I mean, economics is important, but if you find something you really like to do, you can find a way to make a pretty good living. And in this field, you can do that.
Next, let's hear from Ariel de Rosario, who further highlights the pursuit of one's passion and shares 2 useful tips.
My advice to somebody who's trying to pursue the civic engagement and higher education field, and this is true for any field, but whatever it is that you do, be passionate about it and feel like it's something that you at your core love to do. When I wake up, I think, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out, but also I'm really excited to do my work. And so no matter what, every job is going to be stressful. And that's just the truth. Yes. And if it's not stressful, you might be in the wrong position, because stress means that you care about something. And so even though I have a lot to do and I'm pulled in a million different directions, all of them, most of them, are really, really meaningful directions. And so if you're pursuing civic engagement in higher education, make sure that's something that you love. Make sure that the programs that that place is doing, administering, are ones that you yourself would want to do, or at least see the value in it. If you're in a civic engagement office in another campus, get to know that community and get to know who it is that you're working with, because nothing gets accomplished alone. And so to have really strong, positive relationships with your allies is really important. And your allies can also be people from the Bonner Network too. If you're looking to get in the civic engagement and higher education field and you are looking to co-author a paper or do research, I would highly recommend that in your undergraduate career to start doing research then if there's a faculty member that you'd like to work with. And even if the topic is a little bit adjacent or not quite what you want to study, being able to learn quantitative and qualitative research skills and how to write a paper are really important if you want to write up publications in higher education journals. Another concrete skill that I would recommend is keeping up with the latest technology. And that goes for social media, different applications for Google Documents, Word, Excel, Microsoft Suite, as well as if you are able to expose yourself to office sort of functions like Constant Contact, things that you would administer a newsletter on. Those things are really helpful, especially if you do decide to be on the administrative part of higher education.
Coming up, we have Joshua Rodriguez, advising professionals to become avid readers and to build connections with the community that they're working with.
So for all of y'all who are trying to pursue a career in civic and community engagement and higher education, my advice to you would be read a lot of books on civic engagement, but even social justice. They could be from fiction to nonfiction, or read more about marginalized people, historically underrepresented groups. Read more about those people and learn more. Learn more about your community. Pick up a newspaper and get familiar with what are the challenges that your community is facing, but also get familiar with what are the assets within your community. That's my advice to you. Go and seek out and make connections with community members or community leaders and find out what are their passions, what are they pursuing. Because when you get into a position like mine or even higher, you then have the people that you know the ideas exist in, and you can help empower them to make their dreams a possibility.
Last but not least, we have Matthew Brian Cheney, who recommends developing good writing habits, gaining knowledge about one's field, and more.
The first thing that comes to mind, develop really good writing habits. And I teach writing. One of the things that I noticed from a lot of young professionals who are coming up in the field, it's that some of those skills are, they're struggling, like grammar. I know a lot of people get Grammarly. English professor, when I hear about Grammarly, I kind of like shudder. They don't need to know grammar. A robot's going to tell them. Like even just having a writing habit where you write something every day that isn't just a social media post, that really goes a long way in higher education, because most of what I do is writing emails, because for the time being, that's the main way that people communicate in higher education. At least that's the culture on our campus. You don't have time to talk to somebody, you just send an email. Develop good writing habits. You're not doing things at the last minute and you're not procrastinating. It's a really important thing, because if you're trying to impress professors and higher ed professionals, that's how we communicate. Being a really good public speaker and succinct in your presentations is really important. I think the best advice that I would have is also just read every day. Read books, read interesting articles, just gain knowledge about your field constantly, because that stuff helps you. If you can remember something that in an article, then all of a sudden you've got ideas in a room with people who need ideas, and then you can kind of help move the ball forward. Just staying up to date and reading a lot early is important. Karen Kelsky's book, The Professor, is a really good book, especially if you want to go to graduate school and you want to be a professor. And there are just some basic like professionalism things in higher ed. It's a weird field. If you read that book and you really do what she tells you to do, it really helps you on the job market. It helps you communicate with mentors, with other people in your field. So that's a really important thing. But this is the big advice, because we talk a lot about professionalism, presenting yourself well, being able to network. Networking is deeply important, and you should definitely meet people. Absolutely. I would not have this job if I had not networked, if I hadn't put myself out there to talk to some scary professor type people who I was intimidated by. Networking by itself, professionalism by itself, being really polished in a meeting, doing all that kind of stuff, it's not enough if you don't have knowledge to back it up. Because at some point, you're going to seem like a really capable person who knows what you're talking about, and you're confident, you've developed these professional skills. And then when it comes time to do the work, you're not going to know what to do. That's why I really emphasize being a student and a scholar of this work. Read what other people have said. Learn as much as you can, because that knowledge is what will help you moving forward, and it will help fuel your professionalism. Being professionally competent is one thing. Having a knowledge base to back it up is another. And I think a lot of times when you're young, and I was this way, you're impatient and you want everything to work really quickly. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, but feel like because there are doors being put in front of you that are not open, that there's not something you can do. You can always learn. You can always seek out knowledge and information that will help you. And so I would say when you're feeling discouraged and you're feeling like there aren't a lot of opportunities opening up for you, or it just seems really hard, just keep learning and keep trying to apply that knowledge to your work. That's some of the best advice that I could give.
Thanks to all our guest speakers for sharing their experiences and personal stories. Thank you so much everyone for listening and learning with us today. This concludes the fourth episode of the Inside Scoop of a civically engaged higher education career. Wondering where to find more videos? Find us on YouTube as Banner Network. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. We're also on the Banner website at www.banner.org.
Banner